Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India and the 5 Central Asian countries pledged support for peaceful, secure and stable Afghanistan at the 3rd India-Central Asia Dialogue. India and Vietnam enjoy excellent contemporary relations, says President Ram Nath Kovind. Netherlands enters strict lockdown over fears of a 5th wave of COVID-19 due to the Omicron variant. Death toll in the Philippines due to Super Typhoon Rai soars to 108. Cold wave grips northern India expected to ease after Tuesday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participates in the Goa Liberation Day celebrations. In badminton, Kidambi Srikanth bags silver in BWF World Championship at Huelva in Spain. Lo Keen Yew of Singapore wins gold. And in men's hockey, India thrashed Japan 6-0 in the final round-robin match of Asian Champions Trophy in Dhaka. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about the new corona variant is a cause of concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and help others get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Sunday said that India and the Central Asian countries share deep-rooted historical and civilizational ties with Afghanistan. He stressed that ways must be found out to help the people of Afghanistan. The minister was speaking at the 3rd India-Central Asia Dialogue in New Delhi. A report.
India views Central Asia as part of its extended neighborhood. The first India-Central Asia dialogue, proposed jointly by India and Uzbekistan, was held in January of 2019. The dialogue provides a common platform to exchange ideas and to intensify cooperation in a wide range of areas including connectivity, energy, trade and people-to-people exchange. The strategic significance of the dialogue has increased with the deteriorating situation in Afghanistan. Earlier this year, addressing the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit virtually, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the landlocked Central Asian countries can benefit immensely by connecting with India's vast market. In his opening remarks on Sunday, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar listed the concerns and objectives regarding Afghanistan, including a truly inclusive and representative government, the fight against terrorism and drug trafficking. He also talked about ensuring unhindered humanitarian assistance and preserving the rights of women, children and minorities.
This is a very good opportunity to review both bilateral and regional relationships and consider the challenges that we face more collectively. Our meeting today amidst a rapidly changing global economic and political situation. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in an enormous setback to global health and to global economy. It has changed the way we imagine societies, workplaces, supply chains and governance. It also highlights the inadequacy of the existing multilateral structures to meet new and emerging threats.
The meeting was held in New Delhi on Sunday under the chairmanship of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Kazakhstan, the Kyrgyz Republic, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan took part in the meeting. A joint statement released after the India-Central Asia Dialogue said the ministers emphasized on the civilizational, cultural, trade and people-to-people linkages between India and Central Asian countries and reaffirmed their commitment to building a comprehensive and enduring India-Central Asia partnership. Prashant Kumar Sinha for World News, All India Radio.
Meanwhile, the parliamentary delegation from Vietnam led by Vuong Dinh Huai, the chairman of the National Assembly of Vietnam, called on President Ram Nath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi on Sunday. Welcoming the delegation to India, Mr. Kovind said that India and Vietnam enjoy excellent relations at the leadership level today. He said today the bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership covers a wide range of areas from political engagement to trade and investment ties, energy cooperation, defense and security cooperation, and people-to-people relations. Earlier this week, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said the India-Vietnam partnership will be a significant stabilizing factor in the Indo-Pacific at a time of global uncertainty and post-COVID economic recovery. He asserted that Vietnam is a key partner of India both in the ASEAN and the Indo-Pacific.
We also stand close to another milestone. Next year will mark the 50th anniversary of the establishment of India-Vietnam diplomatic relations. The mutual trust and sincere bonds of friendship that have developed over this half-century has matured into a partnership that we see today. And it is truly a wide-ranging one that encompasses political engagement, trade and investment ties, energy cooperation, development partnership, defense and security cooperation, and people-to-people relations.
The Netherlands entered a strict lockdown on Sunday over fears of the spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Prime Minister Mark Rutte told a press conference on Saturday that the decision was unavoidable. He said that the country is in its fifth wave of COVID infections caused by the Omicron variant. This means that the Netherlands is facing a second consecutive Christmas under lockdown. Meanwhile, Germany has banned travellers from Britain from entering the country in a measure to contain the spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. It is the latest European nation to come up with this directive. German nationals who are in the UK can return, but they must have a negative test report and would have to undergo quarantine for 2 weeks, irrespective of whether they have been vaccinated or not. In the Philippines, at least 108 people were reportedly killed as Super Typhoon Rai, with wind speeds of about 195 kilometers per hour, hit the country's southeastern islands. Rescue and relief efforts are ongoing in the typhoon-hit areas. Rescue team sources said that the exact loss of life and property cannot be ascertained, as communication to a number of areas has been cut off due to the flooding and landslide caused by the typhoon. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, has launched an emergency appeal seeking 20 million Swiss francs to fund long-time relief efforts. Cold wave conditions have gripped northern India. India's meteorological department said that cold wave to severe cold wave conditions have been observed in some places over East Rajasthan, in isolated pockets over West Rajasthan, West Madhya Pradesh and Haryana. Cold wave conditions have also been observed in some places over Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan, Muzaffarabad, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and East Madhya Pradesh. Director General of the India Meteorological Department, Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra, told AIR that severe cold wave and cold wave conditions are likely to continue over northwest India till Tuesday and abate thereafter.
During past 3 days, cold wave to severe cold wave conditions are prevailing in some parts of northwest India, including Haryana, Chandigarh, Punjab, North Rajasthan, North Madhya Pradesh, West UP, some parts of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Especially over the hilly areas, temperatures are sub-zero, and over the plains, temperatures are below normal by about 4 to 6 degrees Celsius. In addition to this below normal night temperatures, day temperatures are also below normal by 4 to 6 degrees Celsius over some parts of the plains of northwest India. As a result, cold day conditions are also prevailing in some parts of northwest India. In addition to cold wave and cold day conditions, the dry northwesterly winds are prevailing over the plain, which is aggravating the adverse impact of cold day and cold wave conditions. And this condition will continue till 21st, and thereafter temperature is likely to increase.
President Ramnath Kovind said that Bangladesh has a special place in the hearts of Indians at the conclusion of a 3-day visit to the country earlier this week. India was instrumental in supporting Bangladesh in its struggle for becoming an independent nation. All India Radio played a critical role in this watershed moment in world history. Our Dhaka correspondent Rajesh Jha spoke to Mr. Sandeep Unnithan, one of the authors of the book Operation X. In his book, Sandeep tells the story of AIR's role in the secret naval Operation X that crippled the Pakistan Navy. Let us listen to this fascinating narrative from the co-author of the book.
Radio played a very key role in the liberation war of 1971. It was used to spread the speeches of the leaders of the freedom struggle. In fact, there were many Bangladeshis, East Pakistanis at that time, who were inspired by the speeches of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman.
Namo 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 Sundari Mamo Janore Janmabhumi Ganga Tir Sikto Shomer Jibon Jurale Tumi Amar Jibon যখন আমি ঢাকায় নামছি তখন আমি চোখের পানি রাখতে পারি নাই আমি জানতাম না যে মাটিকে আমি এত ভালোবাসি যে মানুষকে আমি এত ভালোবাসি যে জাতকে আমি এত ভালোবাসি যে বাংলাদেশকে আমি এত ভালোবাসি সেই বাংলায় আমি যেতে পারবো কিনা আজ আমি বাংলাদেশে ফিরে এসেছি আমার ভাইদের কাছে আমার মাদের কাছে আমার বোনদের কাছে বাংলা আমার স্বাধীন বাংলার মানুষ আজ আমার স্বাধীন
Radio also played a very key role in the naval guerrilla Operation X. And I'll tell you how. Because once the commandos, the naval commandos, were infiltrated from India into East Pakistan, what was then East Pakistan, the commanders had no way of communicating with the commandos on the ground. So they devised a very intelligent code mechanism to communicate with the commanders of the naval guerrilla squads. And they identified two key songs. The first was Amar Putul Aaj Ke Pratham Jabe Shashur Badi, sung by Aarti Mukherjee, and another song by Pankaj Malik, Ami Tomai Joto Chuniye Shilem Gan. These two songs were in fact coded messages for the naval commandos operating inside East Pakistan. When the first song was played, it was a signal to them that they had to move in closer towards their targets and that the attack, they had to carry out the attack in 48 hours. When the second song was played, it meant that the attack now was just 24 hours away, that they had to carry out this attack on the merchant ships within 24 hours. And this worked like clockwork because on the August 15th attack, which is known in Bangladesh as Operation Jackpot, where 4 ports were targeted simultaneously at the same time. That same night, 4 ports, Narayanganj, Chandpur, Chalna Mongla and Chittagong. All these 4 ports were attacked. They are hundreds of kilometers apart, but they were attacked at the same time by naval commandos that infiltrated from all sides. The coded signals were played 48 hours before the attack and then 24 hours before the attack. So these signals were coded messages that told them when to strike, and for the purpose of listening to these signals, the task force commanders for each of these 4 attacks was given a radio transistor set. In fact, they were given 2 sets. The commander and his deputy carried 1 transistor set, and they had to listen to All India Radio 2 times a day, 6 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening. And they had to tune in and listen whether these songs were being played. And when the songs were played, that was a signal for them to go ahead. So this was a fantastic operation, again of a kind that you've not seen since the Second World War, because it involved naval guerrilla operations and also this brilliant stratagem of using All India Radio, India's public service broadcaster, as a method of transmitting coded signals to the Bengali freedom fighters.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday participated in the Goa Liberation Day celebrations at the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Stadium in Talegaon. He felicitated freedom fighters and veterans of Operation Vijay at the function. During his address on this occasion, the Prime Minister said Goa is top in good governance, per capita income and several other fronts. The Prime Minister said that the people of Goa kept the flame for independence burning for the longest time. Goa Liberation Day is celebrated on December the 19th every year to mark the success of Operation Vijay undertaken by the Indian Armed Forces that liberated Goa from the Portuguese rule in 1961. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on India's defense preparedness. In conversation are Major General Ashok Kumar, a security analyst, and Ajay Banerjee, a journalist.
We are discussing the military modernization and the readiness of the armed forces of the country. General Saab, the two-front war scenario which we face with Pakistan and China, what is the reality check you can provide to our listeners with regards to readiness of the forces, with regards to take on a two-front war with Pakistan and China?
The threat is real and more pronounced on the Chinese front, which on one hand is challenging the territorial integrity, but at the same time it is coming up with enhanced resource accretion in all domains. And to meet that challenge, we have not only to modernize the combat component of our fighting forces, but we have to look at organizational structures, method of war fighting, and as to how we look at this threat without compromising our core challenges. We have to look at Pakistan and China in a manner that we are able to deal with these two fronts in a cohesive manner. Besides, whatever are the internal challenges, they can also be looked at.
You refer to a very important aspect. You said the method of war fighting. Sir, how has this method of war fighting changed? In the past 2 years, we have been listening about artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics. What are the new things about war fighting, sir?
Actually, initially, the direct combat which we used to hear, which was of a World War II vintage, was the norm. We did use certain air power and other force projection equipments, but the current technology has given us multiple options. China, for one, has already adopted these technologies in a big way, and it is attempting to launch its forces and resources in a manner that it cripples its opponent without going into the kinetic domain. And therefore, it is very, very important for us at this juncture that we also come out of our erstwhile method of war fighting and focus on the technologically driven norms and equipments which are advanced, and the artificial intelligence, swarm drones, and so many options which are currently available, wherein the human component is taken at the back seat, and it is the technology which drives the force. The era of kinetic war fighting is receding with every passing day.
Sir, this word which you use about the era of kinetic warfare being receding, I must inform the listeners, by this General Saab means that a conventional war or method of conventional war is receding. General Saab, when you talk about this, former CDS General Bipin Rawat also made this reference very often in public domain, that the traditional war systems are changing and we will face a new kind of war. And he referred to cyber war, various other aspects. What do you think could be the new way of war fighting across the world now?
Actually, if you read China and its armed forces critically, you will realize that they had entrusted its Western military region with majority responsibility towards India. As against on our side, we had Northern Command, Central Command, Western Command and Eastern Command looking at the borders. So now firstly, there is a need to look at lesser number of organic structures who can address our borders. Secondly, so far we have been fighting the war by mutual cooperation between the three services, that is Army, Navy and Air Force. Though we have succeeded, but we have had the pitfalls also if we analyze the wars critically. When I say pitfalls, basically I mean that their optimum capability could not be utilized. So therefore, now the integrated war fighting is going to be the buzzword, wherein we have to go in for the theaterized model, whereas all components of Army, Navy and Air Force can work together, fight together under a single commander. And at the same time, we have to look at those aspects which are very current, wherein one doesn't have to get across, like you pointed out, the issue of cyber warfare. Now, if you can polarize or neutralize the enemy equipment, their sensors, their other technologically supreme equipment by use of cyber warfare, then you don't have to physically go and destroy them. And cyber warfare can also be used in a very, very effective manner to carry forward the psychological warfare and to motivate the public opinion to further the interest of the nation.
Sir, there have been talk about the change of how we will bring about theaterization. General Bipin Rawat kick-started the work, kind of a template is ready, that there will be certain theaters. Some work has been done, aviation brigades have been created in the east, and some specific sectors there have been military exercises with regards to maritime focus and also on the western borders, and also on the northern borders to be precise. Sir, this theaterization concept, how long does this take to gel together? And this will depend, and how important is this for the military readiness of the nation?
Very pertinent issue you have brought out. One is the aspect of theaterization. But theaterization by itself will not bring in a major change unless its other constituents are also looked at in a serious manner. For example, the creation of integrated battle groups, in short IBGGs. So once they are created, then the war fighting capability of that component will enhance as against the current model wherein number of units and subunits are grouped, attached and detached for war fighting. Once we do that, we have to bring the fighting component of all the three services together under a single theater commander. Because as against the cooperation mode, once the thought is vested in a command, then naturally the outcome is going to be much better. Otherwise, every commander will have its interest priorities and it not suit in the overall national interest. And therefore, theaterization is a key issue. Of course, we have to look at the kind of challenges which we face. Like maritime challenges on the western as well as eastern seaside are very important. And therefore, a maritime command, since the Navy has the core competence, so under Navy is being thought of. Similarly, on the western front against Pakistan, a land force-centric command is being thought of with other requisite components to carry the war in the enemy territory. Similar is the case on the Chinese border. However, the issue of J&K, because of its active and intense insurgency, has been kept in the current format so that it should not happen that while we are moving for the transition stage, we lose sight of this another half-front challenge which we call today 2.5 front.
Sir, when you talk about theaterization, I must tell the listeners, theaterization is a concept which integrates all the three services, the Army, Navy and the Air Force. Its assets to be put under a single commander who will be responsible for a specified section of the border or a specified area facing the enemy. This is the kind of concept we're looking at. When we speak about the theaterization, how important is theaterization for our future military readiness?
It's very critical because in an era of war fighting in which we are going to be there, it's very essential that we fuse the various subcomponents in a manner that they multiply their effect on the battle zone, whether they are launched or they are not launched. And we cannot now afford to fight the future battle with the World War II vintage structures, organizations and equipment. So therefore we have to gravitate towards this. There is no way. We may agree or disagree about the exact nature of theaterization, whether it should be with the current geographical mode, land-centric, or there should be some modification. That is a matter of debate, and I'm sure all the stakeholders involved will dwell on this as they go ahead in time. But theaterization per se is a critical need of the hour, and any delay in this will have a heavy cost to pay if we have to fight a battle with China.
When we talk just numbers, China, of course, has greater numbers, and we face twin challenge from both the nations. From west is Pakistan and north is China. China's number of submarines, nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers, man-to-man numbers, the ratio of the missiles, long-range missiles, the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, or even the number of warships it's producing, the speed of producing the warships. How do you see that, and how do we need to match up quickly?
Firstly, by matching, we don't have to look at only the numbers versus numbers. On one hand, while his capability in force accretion for Army, Navy and Air Force is increasing, but at the same time, he is also facing multiple front challenges. He has a greater risk moving away from its planned integration of Taiwan, the issue of Hong Kong, multiple countries posing expansion in the South China Sea. So it is not that whatever numbers he has got extra, he can bear it only against India. And India's current effort to develop Quad and USA's effort of AUKUS and our better relationship with other countries which are surrounding or have challenges with China will force China to divide its resources on multiple fronts, and in a way it will neutralize as to how much he can bring against India. Side by side, you brought out an issue of submarine capability and also the aircraft carrier. While we have to also go ahead with larger production, both in terms of speed and capacity, we have to also leverage the availability of the islands like Andaman Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep Islands and other places of where we have good relations like Maldives and Sri Lanka, wherein we can utilize these land-based resources for projection of Navy and for deep blue water capability. But it is true that we have to move fast, we have to move with accuracy, we have to move with higher technological projections, and we have to gravitate towards the defensive mode to offensive mode so that we, rather than depending on other countries, can take on China one-on-one should the necessity so arise.
The Aerial Delivery Research and Development Establishment in Agra conducted a flight demonstration of the Controlled Aerial Delivery System, or CADS, on Saturday. The flight demonstration is a part of a series of activities organized towards celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav commemorating the 75 years of independence. A report.
The controlled air delivery system is used for the para-dropping of men and materials. With a payload capacity of up to 500 kilograms, the CADS 500 is used for precise delivery of the payload at a predetermined location by maneuvering with the RAM air parachute. The system uses the Global Positioning System GPS for the coordinates, altitude and the heading sensors for the heading information during its flight. The CADS with its onboard electronics unit autonomously steers its flight path using waypoint navigation towards target location by operating controls. System performance was demonstrated at drop zone Malpura from an altitude of 5,000 meters. The system was para-dropped from an AN-32 aircraft and steered to the pre-designated landing point in an autonomous mode. The Defense Ministry informed that 11 paratroopers of the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force chased the CADS 500 in air and landed simultaneously. Prashant Kumar Sinha, World News, All India Radio.
Moving on to sports now, India's cricketing authority, the BCCI, has announced the squad for the upcoming ICC in Under-19 Cricket World Cup. The All India Junior Selection Committee has picked the squad for the tournament, which will be played in the West Indies from the 14th of January 2022 to the 5th of February 2022. The four-time champions will be led by Yash Dhal. India has enjoyed unparalleled success in the tournament, winning 4 titles in the years 2000, 2008, 2012 and 2018. In hockey, at the Asian Champions Trophy, defending champions India thrashed Japan 6-0 in the first round-robin match in Dhaka on Sunday evening. Penalty corner specialist Harmanpreet Singh scored a brace, while Dilpreet Singh, Jarmanpreet Singh, Sumit and Shamsher Singh added a goal each. India kicked off its title defence in style at the Champions Trophy with 3 wins and a draw from 4 games so far. Playing their first tournament after a historic Olympic campaign, India were held to a 2-2 draw by Korea in the opener. Later, the players lifted their game by leaps and bounds to trounce hosts Bangladesh 9-0 and then got the better of arch-rivals Pakistan 3-1 on Friday. Manpreet Singh-led Indian team now have 10 points from 4 matches, which means they will face the 4th place team in the semi-finals on Tuesday. And in badminton, Kidambi Srikanth bagged silver in BWF World Championship at Huelva in Spain. Loh Keen Yew of Singapore won the gold. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Globe and Mail says Washington State Senator Doug Erickson dies after battle with the coronavirus. The Guardian writes UK Minister not ruling out circuit breaker before Christmas. Sputnik News reports that civilian deaths from US strikes in Iraq, Syria and Afghanistan downplayed by Pentagon. Financial Times writes UN prosecutor blames South Africa for delays in finding Rwandan killers. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. India and the 5 Central Asian countries pledge support for peaceful, secure and stable Afghanistan at the 3rd India-Central Asia Dialogue. India and Vietnam enjoy excellent contemporary relations, says President Ram Nath Kovind. Netherlands enters strict lockdown over fears of a 5th wave of COVID-19 due to the Omicron variant. Death toll in the Philippines due to Super Typhoon Rai soars to 108. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participates in the Goa Liberation Day celebrations. In badminton, Kidambi Srikanth bags silver in BWF World Championship at Huelva in Spain. Loh Keen Yew of Singapore wins gold. And in men's hockey, India thrashed Japan 6-0 in the final round-robin match of Asian Champions Trophy in Dhaka. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Qatar.
Vaishnav Jana to Pini Kahide Pidi Paraye Jane Re Pardo ke Upkare Kare Toi Mana Bimana Re Vaishnav Jana to Chini कहीं भी.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.